Hello everyone, welcome to On-Prem versus Cloud. This is Christian, and today we are going to talk about the different authentication methods that is used by internet devices being managed by SCCM to authenticate themselves to the on-prem SCCM site when they use the cloud management gateway. So, what are the different authentication methods that an on-prem SCCM site uses to authenticate a device over the cloud management gateway? So let's jump onto it. First of all, a quick overview of what a cloud management gateway is. So let's say if I have an internet device. An internet device basically means a device which is not present on my intranet company network. So let's say this box represents my company network, and all of my SCCM site server and site systems reside within my company network. So my internet device wants to talk to my on-prem servers. What kind of servers it may want to talk to? So it could be a site server, it could be a management point, or it could be a software update point. So all these servers are present in my intranet network, which is basically my company network. Okay, so these servers are present on my company network, and this device is present on internet. Internet basically means it is not there on the intranet or the company network, or it could be a roaming device as well. It could be a device that roams between the company network and outside. It could be with a user who is using the device in office in their shift hours and at their home outside of their shift hours. Um, and when they are using the device outside the company network, the device is on internet. Um, Excluding the scenario where the device is connected via a VPN. So how how would this device communicate with my on-prem servers when we have a cloud management gateway? So this cloud uh, represents my Azure CMG. Okay, so cloud management gateway is created and hosted on Azure. How to create it is a separate topic. We may cover it in our different video, or there are public articles as well by Microsoft that you can refer to on how to create a cloud management gateway. It's pretty simple. In just a few clicks, the cloud management gateway can be created in SCCM. And now coming back to how would this device or this internet device communicate with my on-prem site. This is my SCCM on-prem site. Okay. So this device would send the communication request to my Azure Cloud Management Gateway, and then this Cloud Management Gateway will route that request to my on-prem site. Now, what are the various other components and the servers involved within this complete communication is a separate topic which we may cover in our different video, but our main focus is to understand in this video what are the different authentication methods. So when a device tries to talk to my on-premise SCCM site via the cloud management gateway, there has to be an authentication in place, some kind of authentication protocol or method in place, using which the on-prem site can identify that this request is coming from a trusted device. Okay, so this was a quick overview of how the communication happens. Now let's jump over to the different authentication methods. So within SCCM, the authentication method between an internet client and CMG, sorry, on-prem site via the CMG can be divided into two parts. First is token-based authentication, and the second one is certificates. Within token-based authentication, the devices are issued a token, and the device can carry that token within their communication request. Their communication request contains that token, and that token reaches the on-prem site via the cloud management gateway, and the on-prem site then authenticates the device using that token and allows it to communicate with it via the CMG. So it's pretty simple in token-based authentication and certificates as well. The device are issued certificates. It could be a PKI certificate, or it could be a self-signed certificate that a device is using to authenticate itself to the on-prem site. Um, so we will discuss all of them step by step. Coming back to token-based, within token-based authentication, there are mainly two types of token that a device use. No CCM token and CCM token. So within the token based authentication, we have two main types of token that a device can use. First is no CCM token, and the second one is CCM token. So uh, within no CCM token, what we have, let me zoom out and expand this a little. Okay, talking about no CCM token. So no CCM token are basically tokens that the devices uses to pre-authenticate themselves to the on-prem site. Um, so let's say there is a new device within our environment that needs to talk to our on-prem site. So what kind of token it will first use? Because it's a new device, and the on-prem site may not be aware of it. Okay. So the device will first uh, issued a no CCM token. Okay, the device will carry that no CCM token. The request that the device will send to the on-prem site via the cloud management gateway will contain a no CCM token. The on-prem site will authenticate, or I would say pre-authenticate the device using that no CCM token. And once the pre-authentication completes, a CCM token gets issued to that device. So for regular communications between a device and an on-prem site, CCM tokens are used. And how a CCM token gets issued to a device? The device first needs to be issued a no CCM token for pre-authentication, and once that pre-authentication completes, The on-prem site issues a CCM token to the device, which can further be used to communicate with the cloud management gateway. Sorry, with the on-prem site via the cloud management gateway. Okay, so what kind of tokens are there within no CCM token? Because this is a type. This is not an actual token that a device uses. Okay, this is just a type of the token that it uses. So within no CCM token, we have, first of all, we have AAD token, which stands for Azure Active Directory token. And then we have bulk registration token. And we also have self-proof token. Okay, so within no CCM token type, we have three types of no CCM token. First is AAD token, that stands for Azure Active Directory token. Then we have bulk token, and then we have self-proof token. Talking about these tokens one by one. So AAD token, when a device is joined to Azure Active Directory and it needs to talk to our SCCM site, an AAD token can be issued to the device or the user logged on to that device. Um, so when we onboard our Azure tenant, the Azure Active Directory tenant into our SCCM, two types of certificates are created. Config MGR certificates. First is client app and second is server app. So a device talks to our client app and the client app then talks to our server app, and then that's how the AAD token is issued to the device, and then the device carries that AAD token to our on-prem site, and once our on-prem site authenticates that device using that AAD token, a CCM token is issued to it so that it can further use it for regular communications. Regular communication may include policy requests and policy downloads, um, sending registration messages, sending inventory, and all. So this is what AD token is. We will talk about the issuance of AD token in detail in a separate video. Second is bulk registration token. Bulk token is mainly created on the site server. If we have multi-site hierarchy, the bulk token is created on the top level site. Let's say if we have a CAS in place, so the bulk token is created on CAS, and then that token is saved somewhere securely, and it is supplied in the command line that is being used to install client on a device. So if you have installed the SCCM client before using the command line method, there is a parameter that is used. You may have seen this /reg token. So this is the parameter that can be supplied in that command line that is being used to install client. Um, and we are wanting to install client on a device via the cloud management gateway. So we can use this registration token. We can supply this registration token in that command line. How this token is created, it's created on the site server. If we have multi-site, then it's created on the top level site server, and then this token is supplied in the command line, and uh, it's just a one-time or a two-time token that is used by the device. It's kind of a pre-authentication token um, that the device only uses once or twice. When does it use? Since we are supplying this in the installation of client agent, the SSM client agent command line, so the device uses this token to pre-authenticate to the SCCM site, and then it is able to download the client installation files, the content files to install the client on the device, and uh, basically once the installation finishes, the same bulk token is used for client registration as well. And once the installation and registration completes, the use of bulk token is done. The motive of using bulk token is completed at that very moment, and once the device is registered and approved on the SCCM site, it gets a self-proof token issued. Okay, once the device gets approved, it gets a self-proof token assigned issued, and when the device tries to communicate next with the on-prem site via the CMG, it is then when a CCM token is issued to the device, which it can use further to regularly communicate with the on-prem site via the CMG. So this is all about the token. Um, so bulk token and self-proof token are the two main pre-authentication tokens that we can consider, or in other words, we can consider them as the two main pre-auth tokens that the devices use to pre-authenticate themselves to the site. And once the pre-authentication is done, they get a CCM token issued. Okay, and that's why bulk token have an expiration date. They are not the bulk token is not issued permanently, cannot be issued permanently for a device. It always has an expiration date, and it also always has an expiry. Okay, so in other words, they cannot be permanently used for a device to pre-authenticate themselves to the site. If a bulk token has expired, we can obviously create a new one, but what I'm trying to tell is that these are just pre-authentication tokens that a device uses to pre-authenticate themselves or itself. For regular communications between a device and the on-prem site via the cloud management gateway, CCM token is issued. So before a CCM token can be issued to a device needs to have one of these no CCM token or a pre-authentication token so that a CCM token can be issued to it. So the end goal is to get a CCM token issued to the device, but in order to have it, we need to have one of them. We need to have either an AD token or a bulk token or a self-proof token. So this was all about token-based authentication method within SCCM. Coming to certificates. Um, so in certificates, we mainly have a PKI in place. PKI basically stands for Public Key Infrastructure. Um, so certificates are always a reliable source of ensuring that the communication is happening securely between the servers and the clients. And a PKI environment can be created when we install a root certificate authority on one of our servers. So within PKI, a root certificate authority issues some certificates to the servers as well as clients. We enroll our servers and clients to those certificates that are issued by the root certificate authority to ensure that there is a trust in place. The servers can trust client and the client can trust the servers using those certificates, and the communication can happen securely. And since it is issued internally, it is more secure. It is very secure. So PKI is the first method within certificate. The second is self-signed. So after SCCM 2002 version, our devices could use a self-signed certificate to pre-authenticate themselves. Self-signed certificate is beneficial or advantageous in those scenarios where we have a device that cannot be joined to an Azure Active Directory, or it cannot be hybrid AD joined. Plus, it cannot have an PKI certificate issued. Uh, it is mainly beneficial for workgroup machines. Workgroup machines that are not joined to the domain, so they cannot be issued a PKI certificate, and they cannot be joined to an Azure Active Directory either. So there could be multiple limitations at the same time. So self-signed certificate is beneficial in that scenario. Okay. So if someone asks that whether it is possible for a device to authenticate itself to an on-prem site via the cloud management gateway without a PKI certificate or an Azure Active Directory token, then the answer is yes, it is possible. Um, so this was all about certificate based authentication. We will talk about all these authentication methods in detail one by one. Um, in our next video, we will talk about the how the AD token is issued to a device and how the authentication via the AD token takes place on a device against the on-prem SCCM site via the cloud management gateway. Before concluding this video, I'd like to add one last piece of information, which is quite important. Um, let's say if a device has the capability to authenticate itself via the AD token, plus it has a PKI certificate as well that it can use to authenticate itself, plus it has a self-signed certificate as well. So what will be the authentication preference? Okay, if a device has the capability of using uh, all these three authentication methods, what it will use first. Or let's say if a device does not have all these three capabilities, um, then what will be the authentication preference? So the first preference goes to AAD token based authentication. If a device has the capability, or if a device has an AAD token issued, so it will authenticate itself against the on-prem site using that AAD token. Um, and if a device has an AD token plus a PKI certificate both, in that scenario as well, the device is going to use AD token. And just in case a device do not have an AD token issued for any XYZ reason, that is when the authentication method will fall back to PKI. So the device will then use its PKI certificate to authenticate itself to the on-prem site. And if both of them are not available on a device to be used for authentication, then the self-signed certificate can be used for authenticating a device against the on-premise SCCM site via the cloud management gateway. So this is the preference. Um, Now, is it possible for us to prioritize PKI over AD based authentication? The answer is yes, we can do it. When we install client SCCM client on a device using the command line method, we can use a parameter. We can supply a parameter in that command line, which is slash forward slash use PKI. So this is a parameter using which we are enforcing PKI on that device. We are basically telling the device to use the PKI certificate for authentication rather than waiting for an AD token to be issued to it and using it for authentication. So this is how we can enforce or prioritize PKI over AD based authentication. Um, the other way to enforce PKI is to go to site properties within the SCCM console, and within the communication security tab we have an option called use PKI certificate for clients whenever available. I don't have a lab handy right now, but maybe I can pull up a screenshot from Google and show it to you. I think this is the one. Yes. So this is the site properties I'm talking about. And this is the option I was talking about. Use PKI client certificate whenever available. So if we check this box, it is basically telling the client to prioritize um, using PKI for authentication rather than using AD token. Okay. So I think this is it for this video. In our next video, we are going to talk in detail about the AAD token-based authentication workflow, how the AD token is issued to a device, and how that device gets a CCM token issued after pre-authentication completes against the on-prem site. So this is it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. Thank you, and signing off. This is Christian.